Joining us now with more on the division between Israel and the U.S. is the president of the American Institute for Economic Research, William Ruger. William, thanks for making the time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with Chuck Schumer's speech here. GOP leaders quick to slam this. They're calling it unprecedented, inappropriate, just plain wrong. What do you think of Schumer's comments?
Yeah, I think regardless of your view of Prime Minister Netanyahu, I think it's a bad idea for political actors in this country to get involved in the domestic politics of another country, particularly a country that's such a longtime friend of the United States and close partner in the region. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, I think, here. And I think there's kind of a background, right? A lot of Americans, particularly on the Democratic side of the aisle, were unhappy when Netanyahu himself inserted himself into American politics in 2015, speaking to Congress in a move that was widely seen as being critical of President Obama at the time. So it's really troublesome to see both of these things happen.
Interesting. So in your mind, what does it say to the rest of the world when the U.S. openly calls for the removal of a democratically elected leader?
Well, again, this is an important senator. It's not necessarily the Biden administration saying this, so I think that's an important thing. But again, one challenge for Israel is that Israel has long benefited from Israel issues being a kind of nonpartisan issue in the United States, right? Both sides of the aisle have been very supportive of Israel. And what you've seen under Prime Minister Netanyahu is actually some erosion of support in the Democratic Party itself. And that makes it interesting. Now, again, Senator Schumer is a very strong friend of Israel. It's been one of their key supporters in the Senate. So it doesn't mean they're losing his support, but you have seen this become more of a partisan issue and more division on the issue of Israel than we've seen in the past.
I do want to switch gears quickly and talk about Haiti. I know you served in the war in Afghanistan. You watched what happens when governments fall apart. And we're seeing these reports that a migrant center at Guantanamo Bay might be a place to hold an influx of Haitian migrants who would likely try to make it to the Florida coast. What suggestions do you have for lawmakers on how to handle this potential crisis?
Well, I think the first thing we should recognize is that unlike a lot of places that the United States has paid attention to and even intervened in over the last 20 to 30 years, Haiti is in our backyard. It is actually fairly important, particularly because of the challenge or potential challenge of migrants or refugees. So that makes it, I think, a lot more important than other things we've seen out there that the United States tends to pay attention to. That being said, I think we should avoid direct military intervention. The United States almost intervened directly during the 1990s, during the Clinton administration. Fortunately, it became unnecessary for those troops to actually insert themselves the way they were planned. But the fact is that Haiti is going to be a mess for a long time. The United States getting embroiled directly with that would be a problem. Better would be something that's been talked about, which is, say, a Kenyan security force coming to Haiti to try to provide a modicum of stability. Again, Haiti's going to be a mess for a long time, but a modicum of stability would be good for the United States here, and maybe some outside forces could assist with that.
All right, William Ruger, appreciate the context and time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.